Hello and welcome to another Dragonstorm Studios video. And today we're going to continue our series of Inktober, once per week looking at and I'm using air quotes, horror movie for our drawing. Now last week we did the Graboid from Tremors, and today we're going to update the Scorpion King from The Mummy Returns. Now I know what you're thinking, The Mummy Returns is not a horror film. True, but I'm not a big horror fan, so that kind of like horror comedy is really more up my alley. In fact, I remember going to see this movie in the theater, The Mummy Returns, and even at the time, I remember the big anticipation for the reveal of this human scorpion hybrid, that we saw the silhouette coming through a doorway, and I was so excited, and then he actually came into the light, and I thought, oh. So it's been about a month since I did a portrait. It's been a nice little break in that time, but we're going to draw Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson here. We've got our basic shapes, we've got facial features kind of on the page, and then we're going to focus on the body and the scorpion parts that go with him. But I remember watching The Mummy Returns on subsequent viewings. I have the 3-disc special box edition at home, and I like all 3 movies. The first one, certainly the CGI wasn't amazing, but at the time it wasn't egregious. It was 1999 for the first one, and it was fine. It was, for the time, the special effects were good. I know a lot of people harp on The Mummy, but I thought it looked just fine. The second one, though, it was a bit ropey. I did like the jackal creatures, but certainly something went wrong. And I think in watching it second, third, 20th time, it just looks like there's a layer missing. It looks a bit too plastic, I guess is the word I might use to describe it. Certainly they did a serviceable job. I mean, the Uncanny Valley was definitely a thing back then. But something definitely didn't work. It was very ambitious, and I was a little bit surprised to see that it was Industrial Light and Magic. Although there are some stories out there that say that they didn't have a lot of time, which is fair. The movie industry is a strange beast, which is I'm sure very unforgiving. But regardless, I'm gonna do my version of this. We're gonna try and revisit it. So shading is of course a very important part of any drawing. But really, it's also noticing not only where it's dark, but where it's a medium tone as well. So, for example, the inside of the mouth is nice and dark, or obviously we can't see where the light can't get into it, but then it slowly changes from dark to lighter as we get to the tongue, and darker beneath the tongue as well. And that's something which I think a lot of people do forget. And something I didn't really think about much until I started really looking for those different tones. When it comes to shading, I find that a lot of what we do is not so much skill based. I mean, there is a certain amount of knowing when to shade, how much pressure to put down, but a lot of it really just is observation, looking to where you have light, dark, and then try to think of the different tones in between. If you're a beginner, I'm a really big fan of thinking in terms of 5 different tones, black, white, and then 3 grayscales. And then you can slowly but surely expand that to 7 and then 9 different tones. So here we're going to be adding in the claw for the scorpion, and some details in the musculature as well. And at this early stage, it's all really basic, looking to where different widths are as well. So how wide the chest is versus how wide the waist is. As I draw the scorpion tail here, it's funny because I wasn't actually working from a picture at this point. So I drew what I thought a scorpion tail looked like. As it turns out, however, scorpion tails don't look that way. It was very, very cartoony. So I looked up a picture and found what an actual scorpion tail looks like, and they are really not what I expected. I'm a Scorpio, so I should know these things, but clearly I needed to get more practice. So just the shading, the shape of them as well. They almost like have a coffee bean shape to the segments of the tail. And they've got these little spines as well that stick out. So just again, noticing where it's light and dark is a really big part of any drawing. But I really enjoyed working on this because it taught me something new. I don't think I've ever actually really drawn a scorpion seriously off of a picture, so it was a chance for me to try that out. I've also spoken before about making sure that there's as little white on the page as possible. You will have some, for example, where light's hitting something directly, which is already light itself, reflections in the eyes, etc. But really getting nice and dark tones in there, looking to where the light is and then shading really dark away from that light. So the bottom of the arm here is nice and dark, and that's going to make a really big difference in the end when all is said and done. In case you haven't seen my previous videos, I'm using a blending stomp here, and that is just such a useful tool to help kind of blend in the shading. And I use it again and again and again in this drawing. It's such a useful and simple tool to use. You can use your fingers, however, just be aware that you have natural oils in your skin, and they do sometimes leave fingerprints, and they do show up when you're shading sometimes. So here we have it. It's pretty much done at this point. And more background. Backgrounds, I think, are also very important to help give a sense of the narrative and location. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to put a picture of how the end result turned out, the background here. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to share, like, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.